Hey guys, welcome back to .NET episode 4. So a bit later than I thought. Like I said, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know I was traveling today. So yeah, here eventually. But anyway, I'll just get started. There's not a lot of hardware to talk about this week, so there's a few other things I want to talk about. I don't know if you're interested in them, but I am. But just to go through a few things that I bought actually. So I finally got myself a DSLR, so I got this Nikon D3300. Really happy with it. Actually, it's a great little camera. It cost me about £300 with the lens, and then it's about 20 quid for a 72 gigabyte SD card. But I've messed around with this. It's really good video quality, even with low lighting. So I don't have to use the softbox and things up here. So really happy, really looking forward to using this. Along with that, I got myself one of these, got myself a GTX 1080, got the cheapest 1080 I could find. So this was like £370 on Amazon, and clocked it to 2.1 gigahertz on the core clock. Absolutely no problem at all. There's going to be a video coming out on this, but yeah, this thing hit 2.1 gigahertz, no problem. Haven't tried overclocking the memory yet. I'm gonna get to that. So yeah, it's quite cool. It's a white card. Don't know how I feel about white cards, but yeah, it's pretty neat. Stick that over there, which now means I now have two of these going spare. I have my two 970s that I have to do something with. Don't know what I'm gonna do with them yet. Anyway, guys, that's it. So bought some hardware, doing some stuff, waiting for Ryzen 5 to come out, and we'll see how we get on with that. I checked my bitrate and everything, so I think the streaming should be fine tonight. Yeah, I've not dropped any frames yet, so if it gets choppy, let me know in the chat, and I'll try and fix it, guys. But I think it was just down to a bad connection or something last week. I don't know. But yeah, like I said, not much in the way of hardware news this week. So I found this is quite interesting. Microsoft is going to put ads in Windows 10. It's really cool. So this is on Extreme Tech. You can just go and check this out. But you know, like, why wouldn't you want ads in your operating system? I can just see this being so irritating. Um, I can't believe it. I don't know when this is going to happen. Um, Talking about 365 and how you get 5 gigabytes of space, and obviously Microsoft want to push that service because you can get up to a terabyte online. They're talking here about the price is $6.99 per month, blah blah blah. But I don't know how invasive this is gonna be, because like this screenshot here, guys, for instance, I don't want shit like this popping up when I'm using my PC. Like, I don't want to. I've paid a license. Okay, I've paid a license to use this software. I don't mind it if they email me occasionally or something like that, but I don't want to get adverts when I'm doing stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a way to turn all this crap off. Yeah, if you want to disable these pop-ups, go to View, Options, and File Explorer. Scroll down and turn off the option Show Sync Provider Notifications, blah blah blah. Drive, it shouldn't be an issue, cool. But yeah, it's just like, where is this going to end? I know they're just doing this for OneDrive at the moment, which is fair enough. You can see it. It's like a value-added thing for Microsoft, but where's it going to stop? Like, are they now going to be? So they're obviously rolling this out at some point, probably with the next update, I would have thought. And if it goes okay and people don't absolutely hate it and they're like, hey guys, you can turn it off, then what's to stop them then selling more advertising space directly to you? Directly to an operating system on a machine. And I have a real problem with that. Like, I've got a real problem with a lot of the things in Windows 10. There's a lot of privacy issues in Windows 10, like the keylogger and things like that. It's just like, I don't want you to know everything I'm doing. It's pushing me more and more towards Linux again. I used to use Linux a long time ago. but the idea of Linux is getting more and more appealing to the point that this machine now is a dual boot Linux machine. There is an SSD in this machine with Linux on it that I can boot to if I want to. So I'm kind of getting back to grips with Linux again. Purely for shit like this, like, you know, I don't want Microsoft knowing everything about me. I don't want Microsoft sharing any information about me with other people. I don't want Microsoft sending me adverts while I'm using my desktop. I don't know how you guys feel about it, or how you guy feel about it, the one person watching. But yeah, this is kind of annoying and funny at the same time. I'm kind of almost surprised it's taken Microsoft this long to put advertising directly into its operating system. But let's move on, because that is really, really irritating. So here we go. Hot hardware. It's really hot and it's hardware. AMD poised to disrupt the data center with Zen-based Naples. So yeah, they probably are. So second half, we all know, second half of the year, AMD is going to be trundling out Naples-based servers. And if Ryzen is anything to go by, the pricing they went with Ryzen has really disrupted the high-end desktop market, even though the R7s aren't being, they're not apparently the high-end desktop chips that AMD are going to be releasing. We talked about that last week briefly, that there was going to be a 16-core part in the high-end desktop range, which is very, very exciting. It's just rumors at the moment, but I'm pretty sure it'll happen. So equally in the data center space, Zen's about to launch. So yeah, I have no surprises that Naples in the data center is going to have a massive impact in the way that it has in the desktop market for consumers. I think there's been mixed reaction to it. I think if you go away, if you want to get a really unbiased look at Zen, you should go away and watch some of the stuff that Level 1 Techs are doing, and some of the stuff that Gamers Nexus are doing, where they look at it from a slightly different angle. Because Zen isn't a bad gaming chip, it's just not 7700K. But yeah, if you want to know more about that, I would go and look at Level 1 Techs, especially if you're interested in Linux and things like that. And Gamers Nexus has got an amazing article on Ryzen, and I think it's really unbiased. I rate it quite a lot. But in the same way, I think I think Intel are probably going to be more worried about Naples than they are about Ryzen, because that's the biggest pipeline for revenue that Intel have, and they're already being attacked on several fronts. You know, with companies like Qualcomm and ARM going to 10 nanometers already. Large companies, for example, such as Alibaba, already signing deals with AMD to provide servers. So yeah, I think they're gonna be worried, definitely worried. I mean, this is insane. So these two chips here, two sockets, 64 cores, 128 threads for a dual socket Naples system. Each socket provides 64 lanes of PCI Express connectivity. That is insane. And if they can do this, which I'm sure they'll do it at a much cheaper price than Intel offers currently, I mean, that's all the data center's interested in. They're like, how much power can I get per dollar? You know, because they're not enthusiasts. As long as the things they need to be supported are supported, and the validation for Naples will be a lot more stringent than it was for Ryzen, that's for sure. You can bet your bottom dollar on that these things will be fully validated with certain memory, certain motherboards, etc., etc. This could really hurt Intel's bottom line. And I hope it does. I really hope it does. I think you should read through this article, guys. I haven't had much time to read through it. I've been busy, been out all day, and I was busy yesterday. But yeah, check this out, because it could be interesting to see what happens in the data center market. Moving on swiftly, let's look at Vulcan. Now, multi-GPU support on Vulcan. So what is it going to be supported in Windows 10, Windows 8, or Windows 7? So I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but for a while there was a rumor going around that multi-GPU support in Vulkan, which is just, in my opinion, just hasn't happened so far. Certainly, if you look at games like Doom, you run Doom in Vulkan. There is no point in having two graphics cards, but it's only going to use one of them. It'd be amazing if it did use two. You get horrendous frame rates, and it'd be so good. Not horrendous, amazing. So yeah, so this is Kronos Group, who make the Vulkan API, are saying that in no uncertain terms, the Vulkan Group said that multi-GPU specification is very definitely not tied to Windows 10, and that it is possible to implement the Vulkan multi-GPU extension on any desktop OS, including Windows 7 and 8.x, so 8.1 or 8.2, Windows 10 and Linux. And you know, that makes sense, especially from the the Windows point of view, because let's face it, the underlying, the kernel of Windows hasn't changed in a very long time. The really kind of core underlying code has not changed a huge amount between Windows 7 and Windows 10. The UI has had a huge facelift, and at the kind of intermediate level abstraction, there's been quite a few changes between Windows 7 and Windows 8 and Windows 10. But in terms of getting an API to work with any of them, it's really not a problem. I think this question or this rumor came up because obviously last week Windows announced that they were no longer going to support Windows 7 and Windows 8 in terms of pushing updates out for it. And that's largely just because they want to push people onto Windows 10. There's no reason, again, because of the way the operating systems are constructed and coded, that they can't push out updates to Windows 7 and Windows 8. They just don't want to, because the uptake for Windows 10 is still lagging way behind Windows 7. I think memory serves me right. I think Windows 10 uptake is around 20%, and Windows 7 is still around 46%. So Windows 7 users are kind of double the Windows 10 users out there, and it makes a lot of sense that Microsoft want to get everyone onto Windows 10. And for no other reason than the amount of telemetry Windows 10 sends them back if you don't go in and turn it off. Like, for instance, a keylogger, the amount of information Windows or Microsoft can mine on you from Windows is unbelievable in Windows 10. So yeah, they want to get you onto Windows 10 for that reason. They want to get you onto Windows 10 because it's the latest and greatest. They want to get you onto Windows 10 because it's integrated to the Microsoft shop. They want to get you onto Windows 10 because of this. They can push ads to you like we were talking about before. So yeah, it makes sense. And I'm really glad that Kronos Group have come out and said, you know what, it doesn't matter what version. If you're running Windows 7 and above, multi-GPU support will be supported and it will be patched for you. Is essentially what they're saying here. And it's shocking because that's directly in contrast to Microsoft. Microsoft saying DirectX 12, which is very definitely only going to work on Windows 10. It's only going to be supported on Windows 10, and that is purely down to them not supporting Windows 7 and Windows 8 anymore. That's purely a business decision, screwing people over who've paid good money for that software, and just because the company wants them to pay more money, wants to move them onto another platform and get more money out of them, they're not going to support them. They're not going to give them this feature, and I think that's bullshit. Really not liking Microsoft for doing that. I get why they do it. Working for a large multinational corporation makes complete sense to me from a business point of view why they would do it. They want to get everyone onto that platform. They want to recoup the money, from the license fee, because now you're paying full whack for the license fee. Plus, like I said before, Windows 10 ties into a lot of other parts of their business environment and revenue streams. So, shitty thing to do in terms of not pushing out the updates and supporting certain things from Microsoft, but completely understandable business decision. So yeah, that's that. I would encourage you to go and read this, guys, and read further about it, because I'm quite liking what Vulkan are doing, or sorry, Kronos are doing with the Vulkan API. It'd be good to see Vulkan become more widespread as we move on. That would be quite good, because it did give really good benefits in games like Doom. So, final story, guys, because like I said, there really wasn't a huge amount to talk about this week. Vega is just around the corner, according to AMD. Um, so yeah, actual footage. So here we go. It's gonna come in 8 gigs and 4 gigs of HBM2, which we already knew. So there's nothing new there. There is the actual chip. It's quite cool. It's quite big actually. Oh yeah, but it's got the memory on the chip as well. I keep forgetting about that. HBM2 is there. Those two chips there. That's the actual GPU die. Vega's coming to notebooks, which is pretty cool actually. Yeah, it's Vega 11. It's going to be coming to notebooks, so they've obviously got a low power version of it. It's interesting. They don't actually. When is Vega going to be released? Do they actually give it? Ah, okay. Yeah. Vega R. Blah 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 blah. Also between May 30th and June. So yeah, it's kind of coming up to the second half, end of the second quarter. Interesting. Very interesting. If you could see more about Vega to see where it sits against 1080 Ti, I have an inkling that 1080 Ti will probably be faster than the upper end Vega card. Just what I think. I don't think AMD would have dropped the 1080 Ti quite so soon if they weren't confident that it was going to outperform whatever AMD are going to drop in the middle of summer, well, at the beginning of summer. Also quite canny that AMD are releasing the RX 500 series, that refresh of the RX 400 series in April. Guys, if you have an RX 480 or 470 or GTX 1060, 1070, there's no point buying a 500 series card. There's just no point. It's a refresh. If, however, you are still looking to upgrade, it's not a bad upgrade to make to an RX 580. I would assume you're going to get a little bit of a, maybe say a 10, maybe about a 10% base clock sort of boost from where the RX 480 is. Hopefully it's going to have more overclocking headroom because the process is more mature. But again, we don't know because we haven't really seen anything official from AMD yet. But like I say, if you're running like I'm running 1070 now, running this bad boy, or you're running an RX 480 or an RX 470 and you're thinking, oh, I'll upgrade to an RX 570 from an RX 470, there's no point. I'm pretty sure everyone knows that. So yeah, it's just business. It's just, AMD need to release something in that mid-range. They probably don't really have anything in the mid-range at the moment, so they're going to release the refresh. I'm fairly sure they're not going to have anything in the Vega 10 lineup. So that's the discrete graphics card lineup that is going to interfere with this mid-range to low-range RX 500 series. I think these Vega cards are all going to compete 1070 and above. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see if they have anything that can take on the 1080 Ti. I'm pretty sure that they might have a dual GPU card that'll take on the Titan, but I don't think they'll have anything that can probably take on a Titan single GPU. Historically, they've always kind of lagged behind in terms of kind of core clock, etc. So it's going to be hard for them to compete with a Titan because they overclock really well, as do all the 10 series. The Pascal cards all overclock really well. So unless there's something new coming with Vega, something completely different in terms of their silicon, we might see slightly lackluster clocks. It'd be nice to see them up there, though. It'd be nice to see these things clocking around the 1.7 gigahertz. That make them competitive again, especially with that faster memory. And the memory can make a massive difference, especially on you think about CPUs. Some Xeons, the reason some Xeons will outperform or perform the same as higher clock desktop parts is because they have a hell of a lot more cache, which can equal sort of maybe up to 200, 300 megahertz core clock speed. So these Vega chips coming with that on die HBM2 if they're slightly behind the Pascal cards on core clock speed, that memory could be the difference. That memory could remove that bottleneck and make that card process that much quicker. But yeah, nothing really new here, guys. Psyched for Vega. Can't wait to see it. It's really good that AMD are working with Bethesda. That's a good sign, I think, that a company such as Bethesda are putting that much faith in them that they're willing to appear in their promotional material. You know, so not normal. It wouldn't be normal if they weren't sure they had a winner there. So here we go. See, I don't get this. This is bullshit. Like, sorry guys, I haven't scrolled all the way down here. So this like RX 500 series, RX 500 series to be announced. Vega 11, Vega 10. Well, they're not, because we know the RX 500 is Polaris. So what the hell? It just annoys me. Sorry. Key features. Yeah, next compute engine. Blah blah blah. Vega. Yeah, excited about Vega. Can't wait for Vega. Be good to have something different. You know, like it would have been nice if I had a choice when I was buying a new GPU because I needed to upgrade. My 970s were starting to show their age a little bit more in terms of connectivity than anything else. They were still perfectly fine for gaming at 1440p, but connectivity wise, they were holding me back in terms of my 1440p and 4K panel. Because they only had one display port out, I could only run the 4K panel at 30 hertz unless I swapped over cables, which was really irritating. Also, you know, I'd had these for 2 years. 2 years I've had these cards, so they've done their time. They're good overclockers as well, but I thought it was nice. I had some money, time to get a new card. But it would have been good if I didn't have to just go to this. It would be nice to have something other than Nvidia that was a realistic choice for me, because there's no point for me going from a 970 two 970s to a 480. You know, there's no performance bump there. You know, more connectivity, but no performance bumps. So there's no point me spending £240 or something. So I had to get one of these. I'm not unhappy about having it. It's a perfectly good card, but it would be nice to have a high-end, sort of mid-high-end to upper high-end card from AMD to look at, and hopefully that's what Vega's going to give us. But guys, that's really it. There's not a lot else to talk about this week. It's kind of we're in the kind of tech doldrums at the moment. Like I said, there's nothing really happening. So yeah, just went out, bought some bits for the channel. Can't wait to start using this. Cannot wait to start using my DSLR. Like I said, I've played with it. It's really good quality. Normally I have to have a softbox on in here, but I've tested this with a little LED up there, and the quality's fantastic. So yeah, the Hero 3 Plus is going to be my backup camera from now on. This is going to be the main thing, so can't wait to start using this camera. Really looking forward to it. Looking forward to Ryzen 5 because then I can get my other rig built, and then get a bit kind of back to normal again with content. It's been a bit kind of up in the air recently with things at work. Although I can confirm now that I am pretty sure my job's safe. So content will be getting back to normal. I kind of got the heads up the other day. I'm sure this redundancy thing will be a recurring theme throughout the years, but at the moment everything looks rosy, which is good. So guys, unless you've got any questions about anything you want to know about the card or whatever, just, you know, fire it in there and I'll try and answer some questions. But unless you don't, guys, it's really late. I'm thinking about wrapping up the stream and getting on out here. I would just like to say thank you very much for tuning in. The support has been great during this difficult time for me. Really grateful for everyone putting up with the fact that I haven't been able to put content out that often. I'm really grateful to the fact that people haven't been unsubbing from the channel, even though the content hasn't really been there and I've been a bit preoccupied with other things. So I just want to say thanks very much for that. Content is going to get better. It's going to be more regular. the quality of the content will get better because, like I said, I've got the new DSLR, 1080p at 60 FPS. I have a new microphone for that. I've got a Rode microphone that's coming, shoe microphone. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to this year, moving forward, moving onwards, moving upwards. So if you've got any questions, guys, just fire away. If not, I'm gonna wrap the stream up in the next kind of couple of minutes because I'm really tired. Got to go to work tomorrow, guys. Well, guys, no one seems to have any questions, so I'm going to stop streaming and say thank you very much for tuning in. You are great, and I can't wait for the rest of the year. So take it easy and don't do anything I wouldn't do. Bye.